Hello and welcome to the Raw Makers podcast.
The one-stop shop for courage, confidence and mindset building.
Also bringing you all the aspects of mental health awareness, business and entrepreneurship. We are your hosts,
Adam Ellis
and Jason Borman of the Raw Makers Coaching. Now tonight we're very, very lucky because we've got our amazing guest on. Her name is Karen and she's from Glasgow in Scotland. She's been in education for 21 years and she's been a primary teacher for 17 years, I believe. She's a coach, mainly working with parents and teenagers and helping them rebuild those relationships and even making the relationships stronger and stronger, which is very noble work. So I'm very excited to have her on because it sort of links with what we're doing with our courage and confidence stuff. And yeah, I'm excited. So without further ado, everybody, this is Karen. Hello, Karen. How are you?
Hi, Jason. How are you?
Yeah, good.
Good stuff.
So I'll give you a little bit of an intro there, but if you want to kind of elaborate and just tell your story from your point of view, and that'd be great. Yeah.
So yeah, as Jason has quite oh God, my mind's went blank there. As Jason's actually kind of already said, I've been in education for 21 years. I started off as a classroom assistant actually, so it's like a classroom helper. Yeah. And then so did that for 4 years, and then I got the chance to do the postgrad in teaching while I was still working. So I did that and became a qualified primary teacher. So I've been in primary teaching now 17 years. And just over the last couple of years felt as if I really wanted to kind of try something new. So fell into kind of a coaching, and I'm now coaching with parents and teenagers. So, and like you said, it's kind of at the minute it's about building the connections back up between parents and teenagers. You know, I think just even in the last couple of years, obviously, maybe as a result of the pandemic, there's been a lot of disconnection, I think, within families, and a lot of parents really needing support with supporting their teenagers with a range of different things. Obviously, going back to school, feeling overwhelmed, I think, with, you know, the pressures of being back in the kind of a school building, still obviously having to kind of go through the process of prelims and exams and everything. So, and a lot of teenagers at the minute seem to be struggling with social anxiety and, you know, really losing their confidence in areas where they were previously confident. So it's working with teenagers at the minute, but also supporting parents and their role as a parent, and creating that kind of a strengthening that connection again, so that, you know, there's a much more positive, healthier relationship. So yeah.
Yeah, absolutely. That's really resonating with me because I've been a youth worker. I've been heavily involved with Scouts for quite a few years now. I'm a Scout leader, so I kind of really get that. Mainly I work with the younger children, but I have experienced like quite a few Scouts interactions, so they're kind of your older children. So yeah, and I can pretty much see a lot of that sort of stuff going on. So tell us what got you into that, you know, what has drove your passion into coaching? Coaching.
I think actually, as much as I love my teaching job, and I've always loved it, and actually just up until a couple of years ago, I'd always really settled for the idea of, you know, retiring as a teacher. And then, we hit lockdown and I started a couple of courses. One was a kind of a spiritual type course, but the other one was more to do with the coaching side of things. And that kind of planted a seed, I think, about, you know, being able to work from home and spend time with my kids and be present for them a bit more. And then, you know, by going into coaching, it would still allow me obviously to make a difference in people's lives. So as much as I love my teaching job, I feel, you know, that there's only so much you can actually do with them within the actual education system, because there's not really a great room for touching them and reaching out to them in a way that actually is making a difference at the minute. So we're still having to teach them all the subject areas within the curriculum. But for me at the minute, especially in the last couple of years anyway, they're definitely needing more support when it comes to their mental health and well-being. And really, you know, more support with learning really how to connect with themselves a bit more, as opposed to connecting, you know, with the external world and comparing themselves to everybody around about them and all that kind of stuff, you know, so which obviously is having an impact on their mental health. So that for me at the minute, what I've seen in the last couple of years is that they seem to be caught in this kind of a cycle of, you know, low self-esteem, lacking confidence, their anxieties building. And it's all part of, for me anyway, I believe it's all part of, you know, comparing themselves to other people, but also the kind of impact of social media, you know, on teenagers. When I was a teenager, we didn't have all, you know, that additional external pressure coming from social media. So yeah, that's what kind of led me, I think, into the idea of coaching. And I've so far I've been coaching teen girls, actually, teen and preteen girls, and I've just loved it. I've loved seeing the transformation in them, and, you know, gaining the confidence actually and building up their self-belief, and especially when it came to exams and stuff. Passed their exams, and they're either leaving school to go to college or university. So just absolutely loving it, and loving the opportunity actually of getting to kind of reach them in a way that's needed for them, in a way that's making a difference for them.
Absolutely, that's so good. And become even more and more powerful once you learn NLP, emotional intelligence. Like if you can get that into schools, oh my god! Like
yeah, absolutely. There's so much scope for even, you know, like EFT and stuff like that, bringing all that into schools. And as you've just already said, like the NLP side of things, kids would absolutely thrive on having all that knowledge and understanding and those kind of skills and techniques in order to manage their thinking and their feelings.
That's the weird thing, isn't it? More emphasis is placed on things outside of us, you know, rather than school being about learning who the hell a human is. Like,
absolutely.
What does being a human mean? Like, you know, so many children go through all these emotions and feel bad for having these emotions when they're just part of being human.
Yeah.
I suppose it's more emphasis on the parents to kind of say that sort of stuff to them, and, you know, it's okay to feel this way or that way. And I guess with the teachers as well, when they get 5 minutes to have individual kind of, you know, one-on-one time with their students, you know, because I imagine it's quite stressful, you know, dealing with the whole group dynamic and all of that.
Yeah.
But even, you know, even if teachers got taught it, you know, on teacher training days,
yeah,
they could filter some of that information down. I was saying this to Suzanne Bate in a few episodes ago on the podcast. We had Suzanne Bate, who's been through the education system. She's then gone on to become a head teacher, and she's done that for a number of years now. And I was even saying this sort of stuff to her, like, we need to get emotional intelligence, you know, into teacher training.
Yeah, absolutely.
You know? So at least
not for
that can be filtered down, you know,
yeah,
into there.
Yeah. And I think even like that, you know, for me anyway, I think the emotional intelligence stuff, and even like the EFT and the NLP, it's not just, you know, about putting that in place for the kids. It's obviously, you know, the staff would massively benefit from having all that as well, you know, in order to manage their own kind of their own emotions around trying to manage, big classes with, various challenges and different needs. So, it would actually benefit everybody within a school to have these modalities put in place, somewhere even within the health and wellbeing part of the curriculum. It would be huge. It would have a huge impact on them right through the school. Because, I mean, you can obviously, even with EFT, you could introduce that as early as primary 1, and they are only 4 and 5. But, we introduced brain gym, which was another type of thing, and brain breaks and stuff. We introduced all that in primary 1. The kids just, when they're exposed to it at an early age, they just, they soak it all in. They take it all in and soak it up. And they just go with the flow type thing. So, I think if we could build that in from primary 1 and build on it right through, even through from primary into high school, then, when they get to the teenage years, they wouldn't be struggling as much because they would have all these tools in place for, managing things. And a better understanding actually of the fact that, everybody has these emotions and it's absolutely fine, no matter whether, you're at the top end of the emotional guidance scale or at the bottom, that they're all valid emotions and we're all okay to have them, and it's about not staying in the kind of a bottom half of the scale too long. It's about finding ways of actually moving up the scale so that you're in a better, a place of feeling better and thinking better. And I think, I had the opportunity actually in the last couple of years just to teach some of the classes that I was working with about the emotional guidance scale and about how it's really important to even be able to identify where you are on it and come up with, like an emotional toolkit type idea where you've got things in place to help you manage certain emotions. And the kids absolutely loved it. So
I think it's just generally more valuable for them, like, to take away and use in their own lives. And,
definitely. And I think self-awareness for me anyway, for adults and children is the key to anything, and obviously when you talk about these things, kids do become more self-aware of how they're feeling and why they're feeling a certain way. And when they kind of get to a stage where they can understand, that your thoughts affect how you feel and how you feel affects what you do in life and the actions you take, and they then have a knock-on effect in the habits they create. When they're kind of drip fed that in a way that makes sense to them, and they're exposed to those concepts early on, then it just sets them up, it puts them in a much better position to actually handle the big emotions when they do come up.
Absolutely. So Adam, have you got a question for Catherine? No, you have it to you.
What's been your biggest challenges
as a coach?
As a coach,
Probably actually at the minute I'm finding it tough trying to find, the kind of the parents that are actually able or willing to kind of engage in the idea of coaching. I think there's still a huge amount of parents out there that maybe don't understand what coaching involves, and that, they're not quite sure of the impact that it can have on their teenagers and on, the family as a whole. Because the teenagers I've actually worked with, although I had the opportunity to help make a difference with them, it also had a knock-on effect, a ripple effect, if you like, with other members within the family. So I think for me at the minute, it's about, getting the message out there that coaching is, one of these modalities that actually can make a difference, not just for the teenagers that you're working with, but also for the parents, and even siblings within the family. So at the minute, I'm still trying to kind of find the people that are looking for that kind of support for either their teenagers or themselves. But that's probably one of the biggest challenges. It's like, there's hundreds and, thousands of teenagers out there, and they're all in this position, and parents are obviously out there and they are probably looking for support. They maybe just don't know where to look, where to start. And it's obviously, from my point of view, it's maybe about me becoming a bit more visible, so that parents can actually find coaches like myself in order to kind of access the support that they're looking for.
It's building awareness, isn't it? And around you, so that you can be this beacon for everyone to come to you and receive this level of support.
Yeah, absolutely, yeah.
In terms of courage, what sort of, how have you used sort of courage over the last sort of year in particular, like to really move you on, move you into this new kind of area of work, basically, and making this transition? What's that been like for you?
So actually, when obviously you had your podcast set up and things, and I thought, courage and confidence has actually played a huge part in my journey, because I was always, I grew up in the area where children were seen and not heard, or that was the belief at the time, by generations of like parents and grandparents and, aunties and uncles and stuff. And so I very much grew up as a child who was very much a people pleaser, very quiet, did what I was told, met everybody's expectations, did really well at school, seemed really confident. I think, people that I've spoken to a way back from when I was younger, the impression they got was that I had all together, that I was, I had loads of confidence, I was quietly or confidently, sure about myself. But when I think back to kind of how I felt going through my teenage years, that's not how I felt on the inside. Or maybe that's what I portrayed on the outside, but in the inside, it was a completely different story. So I think obviously doing, a couple of years back, having that aha moment about, oh, there must be more to life than this, and what's life really all about, and why am I here, and what's my, what am I really meant to be doing here? When I kind of started digging into all of that, one of the things that cropped up was the amount of fear I had around different things and all these limiting beliefs. And so for me, especially probably in the last year, it's for me a big part of my own journey has been about just embracing the kind of a fear and finding the courage to push through it, and really, and then part of learning, doing the accreditation with TCM was the realization that you can't wait for confidence to come to us. It's only gained, if you like, by doing the things that you're actually scared of. And, that was a huge, huge realization for me, that, you can't keep putting things off until you feel more confident, because it's never going to happen. So when we did the training about the confidence comes with competence, that was just mind-blowing for me, because I had, I was one of those people who put things off until I felt confident. And so the courage and the confidence side of things for me has been massive, and it's obviously finding the courage and pushing through, even to do things like this, with yourself and Adam. This has been huge. And I think, once you've done it and realised that it's never as bad as you think it is, the fear's obviously a story that we live by, and because we believe it to be true and stuff like that. But once we actually push through it and do it, face the fear and embrace it, and realise that actually it's okay, it's fine to have that fear, but it's not fine to let it control your life. And so for me, it's been huge. It's just so liberating, I think, when you've pushed through the fears and the nerves and stuff like that, and you just do the thing, because you feel amazing after it. And this is the thing that I'm trying to get across to young people. It's okay to have that fear, but just don't let it control you. Don't let it hold you back. You've just got to, face it, push through it.
I think like that sort of dynamic, with teenagers, they don't want to be vulnerable, do they? Like, no. That's the worst thing in the world, is to be vulnerable. So yeah. But maybe that's the message that needs to go out, that vulnerability is okay.
Absolutely. And that's the thing, that even younger, when I first started teaching children, they were so scared to make mistakes. But now, with growth mindset and everything coming in through schools, we're teaching children from, the word go, like as soon as they come into school, we're teaching them that it's fine to make mistakes, because you learn from them. And that
it's part of the way to success,
yeah.
Yeah, that all needs to
Absolutely.
be said, right.
Yeah, and we actually celebrate it. Like we call them, marvelous mistakes, and we celebrate make mistakes because it takes you that step closer, as you say, to being successful and actually maybe learning something that you're wanting to learn or be good at. So
that's it, because until you make the mistake, it's up in the air, isn't it, about whether it will be a mistake or won't be a mistake.
Yeah,
but
absolutely.
if you've done something and it's a mistake, well done. You've just checked something off the list that you won't bother trying again.
Yeah, absolutely.
But, you know what I mean? Or you just try it a different way, and you tried one way that didn't work, so try a different way.
Yeah, absolutely. And I think even for teachers, there was obviously a lot of pressure on teachers, maybe even actually we put it on ourselves, to always have the answers to everything, and you can't. There's times when you don't know the answers to questions that kids ask you. And so, we're in a much better position now to kind of admit that we maybe at the time don't know the answer, but it's absolutely okay, and we now that we've realised we don't know the answer, we'll go and find out the answer, and even when we make mistakes, we don't try and cover it up and hide it. We kind of we kind of allow the kids to kind of recognise that we've made a mistake, but that's okay, so it's.
And I've known teachers who have the opposite view and have kicked people out because they've told them they're wrong, or
which is a shame.
Acceptance and things like that, and it's just
and that's something
again. It's it comes back to that awareness of self.
Yeah.
All that goes on within ourselves. It's is the ego present right now? Or is it, or are you in a place of possibility? Anything's possible.
Yeah. And the sad thing is, the thing that you've just mentioned about, maybe a child questioning a teacher, or, maybe saying, you're that's not right. And then, in some way being punished for that, that's something that stays with a child for a long, long time, possibly for the biggest part of their life. And what they learn then is, that when they speak their truth, they're punished for it. So, they learn not to speak their truth. They learn to keep their opinions to themselves. They learn to not speak up.
Like more.
Yeah. So that's
survive, and that's sad.
Absolutely. Which is probably actually partly where the fear of public speaking comes in for a lot of people. It's this fear of what will happen if I say, if I speak my truth, what will happen if I question things? Because we've been so used to being shut down, I think, at an early age. Whether that's been intentional or not, but that's the result, when we're told, to be quiet and stuff like that, then you do learn.
It's never intentional, is it? It's like it's the teacher doing the best with what they know at the time.
Yeah.
It doesn't mean that that's correct or that's the best for the actual everyone involved. Right?
Yeah.
And it's in that moment they're not thinking of everybody, they're thinking of their own ego getting hurt.
Yeah. But I think actually even the awareness of the ego, I think everybody benefits from having that knowledge and understanding, because it plays such a huge role.
The ego is sometimes good. Like we need the ego to make ourselves feel better, about ourselves.
Mm-hmm.
But when it's not good is when we're in that teaching environment and we need to be available to learn as well while we're teaching off the people we're teaching.
Yeah.
Because if we're not listening to constructive criticism, if we're not listening to ways that we can improve, because we can learn a lot from children. I've learned a lot from children.
Yeah.
And how to be patient, how to be, understanding, how to communicate in lots of different ways, because every child learns differently.
Yeah. Definitely.
How to explain things a different way, that maybe they're not getting it the way I'm explaining it,
Yeah. For me, I think that this generation of kids are actually here to really teach us about, what it means actually to just kind of simplify everything, even in when you've just said there about, you know, explaining things. Sometimes, you know, I've even been in that position where I've tried to explain a concept to a child and they've just, you know, for some reason not understood, you know, they haven't got it. And then, you know, somebody, one of their peers or a wee friend will say, you just do this and that, and then you do that, and then they go, all right. And I'll say, did you understand that? And they say, yeah. And I'll say, but that's what I was trying to say to you. And they're like, no, that's not what you were saying. So, and again, you know, they just simplify everything. They just make things so much, you know, less complicated. And for me, I'm always learning, every day learning from the children, you know, and I've kind of explicitly said to them, you know, I might be older, a lot older, and I might be the teacher, but sometimes you're the teacher and you don't realize it because I'm always learning from you. So it's not that it's just me. I'm not the only teacher in here. You know, there's times where the kids are actually teaching me stuff. So, and they love that. They love that idea that they're actually the teachers for a change, and I'm, you know, swapping roles. I'm in the position where I'm the learner. So,
absolutely. And,
yeah.
Kids, you know, kids are into their stuff, and you know, parents aren't going to know what it's all about, and you know, teachers aren't going to know what it's all about, but they can teach us, if you know what I mean, or like what new things are. And this comes back to NLP, like knowing that everyone has their own map, and the map is not the territory. So what that means is everyone's got their perspective on a terrain of a what's out there, like, but what's out there doesn't equal someone's map.
Yeah, definitely.
Because
and that's the thing, you know.
Things, and yeah. I think it would help so much. So to kind of wrap this up then, like, how can people get in contact with you if they want to work with you, if they have a teenager, if they have a young person and they are a parent struggling with that relationship? How can they find you?
Okay, so I'm on Facebook. I'm also on I'm on Facebook, actually. I've got a Facebook group as well. It's called Conscious Parents, Confident Teens, or Connected Teens, sorry. Conscious Parents, Connected Teens. So I'm on Facebook. I've also, I've got an account on Instagram, and I've also got an account on LinkedIn. And I've got my own wee Facebook group, as I said. So I'm on all of those platforms. I can obviously send you the links, Jason, if you need any links for anything.
Yeah, we'll put your handles in stuff.
Yeah.
Post.
That would be super.
How do you say your last name? That's always a thing.
Yeah, well, I've had even the kids sometimes in school, they're getting the hang of it now, but for a long time they were mispronouncing it and stuff. And they actually reverted back to my maiden name. So my married name is Colquhoun. So it's yes, yeah. I know it looks strange. It looks like Colquhoun, but the Q is obviously silent in it, so it's Colquhoun. But my maiden name was Cummings, and they sometimes, the kids, when they're struggling to say Colquhoun, they just refer back to Miss Cummings, which is fine. I don't mind. But yeah, it's Colquhoun. Colquhoun, yeah.
Karen Colquhoun, everybody. So if you want to get and find her on Facebook, it's not spelt like that, but you know, we'll put in the description how to spell it. Yeah, they'll be able to find you if they want to work with you.
Yes, that would be lovely. Fantastic.
Thank you very much for coming on tonight. It's been a real pleasure speaking with you and hearing your insights into, you know, all things, you know, life of a child, basically, life of a teenager growing up in Britain at the moment.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Thank you so much.
Resonated with quite a lot of what you've said, and yeah, let's, you know, form a partnership at some point, and yeah, we'll move. We've got big plans, big goals.
Yeah, definitely.
Good.
Creating an impact in the world, especially with the young people.
Yeah, absolutely.
Yeah, young people and their parents.
So that's it. So we're always going to end this the same way. So let's draw on that courage.
Build up that confidence.
And get back our roar. Thank you very much.
Thank you so much. Thank you.
Thank you.